I'm very easygoing. It takes a lot to upset me. And I don't bear grudges. My mother was said, amongst many things, because she was full of platitudes, but one was, you know, never say anything about somebody, you know, unless it's nice.
Uh-huh. Is that hard to live by?
Very. Especially when you've known the rotten people that I have.
Your childhood. You write a lot about your childhood, and it seems, although you grew up during World War II, and despite the fact that you became displaced from your parents a couple of times, and it must have been hard, it seems like your childhood was very, very happy.
Yes, it was a happy childhood. I was an only child. My parents having achieved perfection the first time around. Why would they go on? No, I was happy in the sense that I didn't have to share anything with anybody, and I didn't have to wear people's hand-me-downs, or have them taken off my back to give them to somebody else. We weren't very flush with money. Of course not. My father was a policeman. But I don't think money is that important when you're a child, as long as you have enough to eat, of course. We had 3 rooms to live in, so your relationship has to be close and you have to get on with one another.
You often talk about how lucky you've been in life, and you describe that you can thank luck for most of your success.
Absolutely, 100% luck. Well, if there's any talent, I'm lucky to have had it, or lucky enough to appear that I can do things and get away with it. I was fortunate enough to have a good memory up until about a week ago. Learning dialogue was never a problem. In fact, unless I had long speeches in a scene, my overnight work I could just look at and do it straight off the bat in the morning.
In the papers that he was in Rome, Eddie, that's the famous Simon Templar.
I remember once having a complicated speech when I was doing the same, and Simon Templar is describing somebody he knew during the war, and he said, yes, he was responsible for perforating the intestinal tracts of Himmler's hatchet men with even more ulcers than bullets. And I said it on the rehearsal, and the script girl said, I bet you 10 bob you don't say it on the take. I said, come on, make it a $5. 14 takes later, the director was desperate. He had so many minutes of footage to get in a day. He said, could you shorten it? And I said, yeah, he gave the Gestapo a stomach ache. Oh, print, cut, wonderful.
A lot of people, of course, think about James Bond when they hear your name and when they see you, of course. Would you say that that is the role that you have had in your life that was the most important one? Or would you say that you have another one that has been more important for you, maybe personally?
Well, I did 7 Bonds, and for 12, 14 years. I've liked doing everything apart from a couple of odd pictures I made in Italy. But I've had a great time. I love working with film crews, technicians. Yeah, I like the atmosphere on a sound stage as I do in the theatre.
Lately, your work has had another character. Would you like to please tell us about the first time that you got in contact with the UNICEF, thanks to Audrey Hepburn, I think?
Yes, it was about 1990. And Audrey was a neighbour of mine in Switzerland, and she called me and asked me if I would care to co-host the Danneke International Children's Awards from Amsterdam which was a UNICEF program. And I said, yeah, Audrey, yes, of course. Audrey Hepburn asked me to do something, yes. And I said, when is it? May the 6th or 7th? I said, I'll be there May the 6th. He said, no, come a day earlier. I want you in a press conference. And I said, Audrey, I don't know enough about UNICEF to handle a press conference. She said, it doesn't matter, darling. All they'll want to do is talk about movies. And she was right, they did, but she would not let them. She spoke about everything that went into children's issues, and she was very eloquent and tremendously passionate about it. And I thought I had to learn more about UNICEF, and I then met with James Grant, who was the executive director of UNICEF, and a wonderful man, inspiring, like Audrey, an inspiration. And he said, well, you have to sign a contract. You get paid $1 a year, tax-free. And then we can, you're under the protection of the UN. And I went off to Central America, to Guatemala, to Honduras, to Salvador, Costa Rica. And I learned a great deal about what a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador is supposed to do, because I'm not a doctor, nurse, or sanitary engineer, so you have to go there and see what they're doing. You have to see the needs for yourself. You have to taste, you have to smell the poverty. You have to be able, during that time, also as a Goodwill Ambassador, and because you have a reputation or a notoriety as a saint or as James Bond, you can knock on a presidential door and get in, because most presidents have a wife and they have children, and they're curious to meet you. And so you've got the foot through the door, and then you can talk about the rights of children.
How would you say that the work with UNICEF has affected you and changed your life personally?
Well, I am very fortunate that Christina, my wife, is happy to go up. We are never apart, so I never go on a field trip without her coming with me, or a fundraising or a dinner. She's had to listen to the same speech 1,000 times. She's very good. She doesn't fall asleep, and she's also a great prompter. She'll be sitting at a table down there, and I'm making a speech, and I can look at her, and I know I am missing something, because I don't write a speech or use notes. I just try and remember things, and I look at it and I know, I know we should, yes, that's what we should talk about here. She indicates when I'm wandering too far off the point, which I've probably done now.
It's amazing how when you talk about your wife, Lady Christina, your eyes light up and you seem to be very much in love.
Yes, it's nice, isn't it?
It is.
I didn't think it happened to old people, but it does.
What does the family mean to you?
It means a lot of problems. You think as they come out of childhood, well, that's the end of the problems, but the problems become worse, or they become bigger. The one problem that I haven't finished my homework is not quite the same as the firm closed last week, or my daughter's an actress. I didn't get the part I wanted, and she gets very sensitive and upset about it.
How do you feel about that, having a daughter that pursues the career that you have had?
I didn't want her to be an actress. I wanted her to be a doctor.
Oh.
Because having a streak of hypochondria, I thought it would be wonderful to get free medicine, have a doctor in the family. But no, she was insistent, so I said, you've got to be prepared to face rejection. Everybody is a critic. got to sort of put on a thick skin. So it's going to be difficult. So she knew it was going to be difficult, and I think it's been difficult for her because of me.
Because of you?
Yes.
Instead of being like a help?
I think there's an attitude, you know, she doesn't really need the job, you know, because she is his daughter. Or, she's going to get the part because she's his daughter. No. And that very often happens.
Also, I understand that you are, you very much enjoy to make practical jokes with everyone, everywhere.
Really?
That's what I've heard. And also I read that you actually find it amusing to lie to journalists. I have to ask you, did you lie to me today, Sir Roger Moore?
Only when I opened my mouth.
Oh, that's a relief. Thank you.